Just like RFK and other conspiracy theorists, members of this committee continue to attack vaccines. Vaccines save lives. The pandemic cost us 1.3+ million Americans. It's the single largest, most devastating loss of life event that we've had in the modern era.
Mr. Chairman.
It's the most significant loss of life we've had in the modern era.
Ms. Reed, please pause for a second.
I'd like to make a point of order and ask the members to be reminded of the rules of decorum, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sure. What rules are those?
The gentleman from California will suspend.
Mr. Chairman, what rule did I break?
Does the gentlelady from Georgia have any further? Anything?
No.
Mr. Chairman,
the gentleman may proceed.
Thank you. I'm not sure what rule I broke. I actually didn't call anyone out by name and did not actually disparage anyone. I showed a actual tweet that one of the committee members actually tweeted. It's a public statement in the public record, so this is absolutely not disparaging anyone unless the committee member wants to retract what was said up here.
Welcome to the MeidasTouch Network here with Congressmember Robert Garcia. I want to speak to you about that, but first, welcome to the show.
Happy to be back. Thanks.
I mean, it's the gaslighting for me. That is the member of Congress from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, by the way, it pains me to even say that, who's showing dick pics in committee hearings, who's calling for decorum. Congressmember, is this even about Democrat and Republican anymore? Isn't it pro-democracy and normalcy versus, I don't even know what's going on with your colleagues on the other side?
100%. I mean, beyond the fact that the House Republicans essentially have completely just gone off the rails and off the deep end. I mean, and their leadership, I mean, pretty much that whole conference and caucus, you have these extremists led by folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and the George Santoses of the world, who literally are anti-democracy. They're anti-science. They're anti-truth, and their job is to essentially just try to destroy the country, destroy our institutions. They're anti-everything that you could possibly imagine, especially anti-truth. And it's important for them to be called out. And so I think as the only member of Congress that has to sit on 3 committees with her and spend the most time with her than unfortunately anybody else, I think that I especially enjoy taking her on and making sure that people know that what she's saying is basically our lies.
The recent MAGA Republican massively dangerous conspiracy and also just completely bonkers is that the insurrection was actually a hashtag, because everything's a hashtag with them, a hashtag Fedsurrection. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and major leaders of the Republican Party, Mike Lee, a senator, a Republican senator from Utah, posted all of these images of an insurrectionist, Kevin Lyons. Here, we'll post the one that Marjorie Taylor Greene did. She then deleted it, doesn't even acknowledge it. And they claim that this insurrectionist, who everybody knows about because he called himself an idiot when he was convicted and sentenced to 4 years, he was holding a vape, smoking a vape in the hall. There's the vape right there in the halls of Congress during the insurrection, the same way we saw Lauren Boebert with the vape in the Beetlejuice event. So they know a thing or two about vapes, and saying that proves the Fedsurrection. So we at MeidasTouch showed, what are you talking? First off, we all saw what went down on the insurrection. That's a vape, but then there's no shame. I mean, that's the thing. Then they just move on to the next one. How do we confront that right now?
Totally insane. I mean, insanity. I mean, for anyone to first claim that January 6th didn't happen or was some friendly walk through the Capitol on some Capitol tour, the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene and others are claiming that these folks were just peaceful is sickening. And I want to share one thing. A lot of folks don't know this. When I first got to Congress as a freshman, which was just recently, Marjorie led a group basically of mostly Republicans, and 2 Democrats got invited. So I got sent on behalf of the Committee on Oversight to go visit all the January 6th insurrectionists that are actually in jail, in the DC jail. And so this was all of them that are there right now. They've been there since they've been arrested. And we walk in, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is leading this group, and the first thing she does as we walk in to meet them is greets them and hugs them and prays with them and apologizes and is treating them like heroes. And I'm sitting there going, this is disgusting. These people attacked our government. They try to overthrow our government. Now, I was there as to observe on behalf of our committee and our party, but just really disgusting. Those guys try to come up and shake my hand, and I refused. I said, I'm not shaking your hand. And yet she and others like her and Lauren Boebert were giving them hugs and, giving them attaboys for what they did.
The MAGA Republicans sent a congressional delegation, which normally you send congressional delegations, right, to visit democracies abroad, share best practices, promote democracy and fledgling democracies. Their major congressional delegation, as everyone's just hearing from Congressmember Garcia, was to the DC jail to chant, "Let's go, Brandon," and play frickin' games with terrorists, with insurrectionists. And then they release a song, a musical that they play on Apple with the J6th Choir, which they play instead of the national anthem. I mean, when you went from mayor to member of the House of Representatives, you must be looking at this and go, how the hell is this happening in the United States of America? What?
100%. It's crazy. I mean, she obviously has no business being in Congress and is completely, in my opinion, a traitor to the country. And it's rather stand with folks to try to overthrow our government, and not just stand with them, but to actively defend them. Is really unfortunate. And her antics are just getting worse and worse and worse. You've seen she's trying to impeach just about everybody, from the president to every single cabinet secretary. She has no clue what she's actually doing, has no respect amongst any of her colleagues, and is a real destructive force. But that's the Republican Party today. She is and been empowered to be one of the leaders of her party. And so her and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and George Santos, that is the modern Republican Party in Congress today. And that's who we're up fighting against every single day.
And as part of that fight, look, I think there are a number of people, I perhaps say a number like I can count on my hands, though, people within the legacy media who take their job seriously and call out this behavior. But from my vantage point, these MAGA Republicans, which to me is not even like, as President Biden says, your Republicans, your grandparents' Republican Party anymore, your parents' Republican Party anymore. I think they feel emboldened because they're not getting checked by the media. And maybe here and there, I saw more reports about President Biden's birthday demonstrating that shows that he's old, or some story about the sneakers that he's wearing. Again, they run that sneaker story like every 3 months. He's wearing these types of shoes. Then I see about the fact that Republicans sent congressional delegations to sing songs with terrorists, which should be red alert. And from my vantage point, it's like we all see the way mosquitoes or flies are attracted to that fluorescent light. Like, to me, it's like we all know that fluorescent light is fascism that destroys our democracy. We know the lessons of history, yet why is it that legacy media, in my view, the first that will be destroyed by this fascist force is like, whatevs, whatever. I mean, do you see that happening? Is there a way to deal with that? Am I overhyping the issue? What do you see from your vantage point?
I mean, a big reason why we had Donald Trump as president was because the traditional media wasn't prepared to take on this kind of, celebrity type conservative that was willing to lie and create a spectacle as he was running for president. And I think that a lot of the media has recognized that. But the problem is they may have recognized it, but today they're not actually trying to change what they did and what caused that actual moment, right? And so we're still seeing this kind of obsession with certain things about the president, which is just ridiculous, while Donald Trump is out here calling people vermin, essentially, talking in these tropes like somehow we were back in Nazi Germany, literally calling folks horrific names, lying every single way, being and now indicted multiple times and going to be probably convicted and sent to jail, likely through these cases. And so the coverage on actually taking on the lies and not just agreeing that it's okay to lie has been one of the concerns that I've had broadly with the media. They should be taking on these folks every single time, and it's not happening.
He followed up his vermin speech on Veterans Day, echoing Hitler, to a speech that he gave over the weekend at a high school gym in Fort Dodge, Iowa, where he talked about hookers and golden showers. Unprompted, he brought this up in a high school where students are supposed to be. A teacher reached out to me from that high school and said, what kind of freaking message are we sending to our kids when people behave that way? I want to talk about the coverage, but I mean, what that teacher said to me is something that resonated deeply. What message are we sending to the kids, to the world? What type of country are we where we have the leading candidate in the Republican Party talking about sex acts on the stage, unprompted? It's just freaking wacko.
Well, it was wacko when he did it, when he was running for president the first time, and a large part of the country elected him still. And I still... I'm just, it's just stunning that happened, and it's stunning that it's happening again. And that the fact that actually anybody with a conscious or a moral center can support this person who's the biggest con artist, biggest criminal, biggest liar to ever be anywhere in a campaign, and certainly as president, is stunning. And so I hope that more and more people catch on that this person should be nowhere near the president. I worry for our democracy itself if this person is somehow reelected to the presidency. We should be very concerned about what he is actually telling us and what he's actually saying, and take him for his word as to what he will do and what he will try to do to our country. So we got to focus on the big picture. We got a great president. We have one that's delivered for the American people. He has a lot of wisdom. He has a lot of experience. And it's time for a lot of the hand wringing to end. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that's the ticket. We got to get them reelected.
Talking about what a fiscal arsonist he is, what a con man he is, what an arsonist he is in all of these areas. Let's just take for first the economy, for example, where he goes, I alone can fix it. Well, he added $8 trillion to the debt with his tax cuts for billionaires and decamillionaires. So when they want to MAGA-splain to us fiscal conservatism, y'all created more debt than any prior administration and printed money like wild, which contributed to certain issues. But where he's particularly a con artist across all subjects, though, to me, is also on the border. One of the disenchanting things about that Iowa speech, though, is where he goes, I alone can fix the issue, invasion this, invasion that. The headline from the Fort Dodge, Iowa paper is, Trump promises action on the border, while Donald Trump's talking about, the Taliban called me your excellency. That is what they wrote in the Fort Dodge. That's a promise that he made back in 2015 and 2016 and didn't deliver on because he's a con person. But one of the things that you talked about in a recent hearing is this language. It's all performative. While Democrats are proposing comprehensive immigration reform, actually, let's do something. Let's solve the problem. We recognize there is one. Let's solve the problem. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene and others like, invasion. It's an invasion where you can't get things done. Let me show you the clip of you. And I want you to then tell us, what are Democrats? I want to confront the issue of the border right here on the show. And I want you to tell us what Democrats are doing. What's the plan versus what Republicans are doing? First, let's play this clip from the hearing.
Mr. Secretary, yes or no, is our country currently being invaded?
Congressman, that is a term that I find to be offensive.
And I do as well, thank you. And is invasion, excuse me, this is my time screen.
And one of the things, too, they interrupt you all the time. They don't even let you, they just interrupt you and jump into what you're saying. So tell us, Congressmember, tell us about what the Democrat plan is when it comes to the border and how these MAGA Republicans, they want to roll up their sleeves, but I think they want to make the problem worse so they could run on it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, let's first clear some things up, which I think Republicans like to harp on, which are just absolutely patently false. Number one, there is no invasion. Asylum and seeking asylum is, as we all know, a right in this country. It's something that we have found ourselves on, that we're proud of, and that we have a process in place to address. And so that is something that is legal in this country, which is to seek asylum. In addition to that, a lot of the border issue, they talk about this issue of fentanyl and all this fentanyl coming in through illegal entry. Fentanyl is a huge issue in the United States, as we know it is in other parts of the world. But let's be very clear about where fentanyl actually comes in from. Most of the fentanyl in this country, vast majority, are brought in by American citizens through legal ports of entry that are in the drug trade or working with cartels. That is actually where fentanyl is coming from the United States. That is a fact. You can look it up. And so this idea that somehow undocumented people are pouring in with fentanyl is just not true. And so the lies that are being told are hurtful and meant to demonize folks. We also know that putting up large trenches of wall all over the place aren't going to solve the problem. What is going to solve the problem is creating a fair and just immigration system that is, and quite frankly, has bipartisan support, but just will never get past right now this current situation in the Senate. And what does that look like? It looks like a very fair system for a guest worker program so that people can actually come to work and go back to their home country and have that legal process, which so many people want. They just want the ability to go back and forth. It means people that are here in the United States that are paying taxes and paying into Social Security, that they have some type of pathway to citizenship, to earn citizenship, by the way. I earned citizenship. I didn't become a citizen until I was in my 20s. That's because we earned it. We worked hard for it. That's what all immigrants want, is just that same chance and that same shot. And then, of course, supporting folks like our dreamers that are here, that have gone to school here. It is crazy that you can come from any part of the world, not just from the South, study, get a PhD in one of our best universities, and then have to go back to your home country and not use your talents after we've educated you to be able to stay here. It is crazy. And so our visa process and all of these different pieces of the broader immigration system are really broken. I want to remind us that Joe Biden put forward an immigration plan on the first day he was in office. He asked Congress to pass it, and Congress has refused time and time again to not do so. And so there's a lot of work there, but it's something that I think we can get done hopefully in the next Congress or two. Our numbers got to continue to improve in the Senate.
And what do you say when you hear stories about how some of these Latino-owned media networks have had meetings with Jared Kushner, that they are providing this fawning coverage over Trump? I mean, look, they say we're not I want to be clear with this, what their position is. We're not saying we're banning all Biden ads. It was just during that time slot is what their claim was, but they didn't take a meeting with one of the key Biden media relations people. But when you see that, what's your response as someone, as you said, who's, earned the right of citizenship here, who's a member of Congress, who's a proud immigrant, and you see that taking place? You must have a personal view on that.
I mean, first of all, that interview was terrible. I mean, what a softball interview for someone who has called Latinos and Mexican Americans, rapists and killers and all sorts of horrible things. Someone that is completely racist against our community, has said time and time again, just some of the worst kind of tropes and stereotypes you could. That person should not have a softball interview on a network dedicated to the Latino community and telling the Latino story. Separate of that, I think what Univision did was wrong. It was inappropriate. I know that there's colleagues of mine and other organizations that are looking into this, that are trying to push Univision to rethink and think about the damage that interview caused by not actually checking the president, and quite frankly, by pushing back on the Biden campaign and not allowing them to have their ability to tell their side. And so I think that Univision is going to have a lot of thinking to do, and they're certainly getting a lot of pressure, as they should rightly, on this issue. And so it was not their best moment, and I hope that they rethink their strategy there.
And finally, when you're back at home, when you're in the district and you're talking to people, look, there's been a lot of these polls that have been out there. I mean, we've seen how wrong they've been in the predicting a red wave in 2023 on all of these issues. But there's been a lot of that out there, gloom and doom regarding the pro-democracy movement, which is just wild to even think that could possibly exist. But when you're when you're shaking hands, are you seeing that in the district, or are you seeing something else?
No, I mean, look, I think and I come from a generally pretty progressive district, and here people are Team Biden here. I mean, everyone wants to get the president reelected. Look, there's always going to be some detractors or folks that wish it was somebody different, and that's in every case, in every presidential reelection. But I'm very confident that here back home and across California, especially when the time comes and we have a Joe Biden versus a Donald Trump, or whoever that may be, I think it's pretty sure it's going to be Donald Trump. We're going to get behind Joe Biden. Everyone's going to, and at least all those that believe in not just Democrats but a free country and freedoms and democracy. And I think that Joe Biden is going to crush Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has much bigger problems. He's in his court cases and in all of the legal proceedings he's going to be in over the course of the next few months. And so we're ready to win it. And I'm very confident that Biden-Harris is going to do it again and put Donald Trump and his folks finally, they can lose one final and last time.
Congressman Garcia, thank you so much for joining us here on the MeidasTouch Network.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe. Let's get to 2 million subscribers by 2024. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next time on the MeidasTouch Network.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.